Hi, this is Richard here. So this episode is Pike Fishing Scotland, episode 4. I want to just try to explain it before I show you the video, just so it makes a wee bit more sense. The original goal for episode 4 was to show you the setup of a dead bait for pike. This video is going to be that, but I'm also going to make it a pike highlight video. Now, 2 years ago I was up Loch, I'd done a dead baiting session. I showed how I set up for pike and stuff like that, and I got a lot of nice feedback and response, and ever since then I've always wanted to redo it, and this is what I'm doing now. When I actually go out and I record and I do the fishing and then upload it, timescale wise it can be like a week later. In this occasion it's probably going to be like a month and a half before it actually gets uploaded. Episode 3, the way it's turned out to be, is not how originally was supposed to be. Episode 3 was supposed to be the last couple of episodes of the lure trip, and 2 episodes I believe of the last 2 trips that I'd done rolled into one, and it was just supposed to be like a wee vlog up to date. Then episode 4 was what this episode was going to be, where I showed the setup and I went out and I recorded it, but I blanked. So that was round about the 1st of November when I done that recording, when I blanked. It was a nice bright sunny day. I'm not going to blame the weather, it was just unlucky I blanked that day. But I knew I was knocking off a week's holiday, and I knocked off on the 6th, and I knew I was going to be doing 2 overnight trips. So I thought, I'll leave it till then, I'll go back out, I'll re-record it, and I'll do episode 4 when I'm there doing the trips. And I went there and Rebecca caught her first pike, but I felt the locations was going to get shown too much, so I decided to change it at the last minute and ended up adding day trips in episode 3. I changed it about, re-edited the video to what it is now, but in the process I missed out the key point or the key element what it was going to be. We're showing the dead bait session of me showing you the setup how I do it. So I've missed that, and because I've not been able to go back out and fish and record a new episode for you, so what I'm doing now is going to show you that original footage for episode 4 where I blanked, but also so you've got a nice bit of footage. I'm going to make this a highlight video of all of my favourite pike catches. I know there's new people to the channel who might not have seen my old footage. There's old footage there that I've re-edited. I've colour corrected it, made it look a wee bit better. There's also footage in there that's not been uploaded yet. Not a lot, but some. So I'm going to make this a video, episode 4, where it's going to show you the setup how I fish for pike with the dead baits. It's also going to be a highlight video of all my favourite catches, and I hope you enjoy the video. Originally episode 4 I was going to be trying to help, something along those lines, and I'll be able to explain that more in the episode. And enough of me talking. I hope you enjoy this episode, and I'm going to try and get back out between Christmas and New Year. But this is what episode 4 is, and I hope you enjoy it. Tight lines. Hi, this is Richard here, and this is Pike Fishing Scotland episode 4. So this video is probably going to be me talking a lot, so I apologise in advance. It's now on to episode 4. Before I started doing the pike season, these videos, I did say that I was going to try and talk you through the gear, talk you through how I set up and stuff like that. And in episode 1 I try to show different features that I aim towards when I'm lure fishing. In episode 2 I try to show you different casts that I do and stuff like that. And episode 3 was just kind of a wee bit of a catch up on the last few trips that I've had with the lures and the dead baiting. Today's video, as the title I'm going to call it, I'm just trying to help. I'm no expert, I don't claim to be, I'm passionate and I love the hobby, and the way I look at it is, if somebody can watch my video and see how my personal preference is to fish and see my setup, and that then gives them help and gives them ideas on how to fish, to me that's been a huge success, and that's what my goal is today, is just purely just to help. The main reason why I want to do this video to try and help is, I feel since I was a kid, to now, like the generations and how fishing is completely different. When I was a kid growing up, I feel it was a lot more helpful. And what I mean by that was, I'm in my mid-30s. When I was like 8-year-old, I was always told as a young kid I wasn't allowed to go fishing. I'd put a hook in my eye, or I was just too young. But I always had like my uncle and my uncle's pals, and also had like cousins that were older than us going fishing, and I always heard these stories and heard about my granddad, about him fishing. He passed before I was born, but I always heard these stories about him fishing up Loch Striven. And I always had people around me that was fishing, and I always had my interest, and to be honest, I think it's just in my blood. It's just something I've always been interested in. And as a young kid, I was always told, like, I'd put a hook in my eye, I wasn't allowed to go fishing. And then I saved up my pocket money when I was 8-year-old, and I sneaked around to the newsagents and bought my first rod and stuff like that. It was just a wee 2-piece 9-foot rod. Had a wee star kit with a wee red and white bubble float. Had everything in it that you didn't need basically, but I didn't care. I was a kid, I was happy. I got my first rod, and every time I'd go up to my grand's, I'd go across the Black Cart River and try to fish. And growing up as a kid, I would meet people on the bank and stuff like that, and they could tell I was new to fishing, and they would come up and they would help you, show you different ways to tie different knots. And I just feel back then everybody was a lot more helpful, whereas this day and age it's more, everything's social media. Like for instance, this is on YouTube. You get a lot of people on Facebook and you can tell they're just new to fishing, and they're happy that they've caught their first fish, and they get absolutely slaughtered. And I just feel like that's not right. If you can tell somebody's new to fishing, instead of slaughtering them and giving them a lot of abuse, try and help them instead. And that's why I'm passionate about fishing. I love fishing, and if I can help somebody, I will. I'm the type of person that people that genuinely know me will tell you that if I can help you, I'll get my way and I'll help you. Like for example, my homemade jig flies and spinners. The amount of people I've made them up for and just gave them to them is quite a few people, and I'm the type of person that if you need anything, I'll be there to try and help you to everything when it comes to fishing. I'll take people out and stuff like that. So if you're watching this and you're new to fishing and you like idea just to try to get a bit of experience, I'm more than willing to take somebody out fishing and just try and help. Instead of going onto like Facebook and stuff like that and social media and getting a lot of abuse, if you've got any genuine questions and I can help you, I will. And that's just the type of person I am, and this is what I'm trying to do this video for, is just trying to help. So as when it comes to rods, my personal preference is a 10-foot 3.5 pound test curve rod. The reason I don't go for a 12-foot is because there's a lot of locations that I go where there's overhanging stuff, there's trees, and you can't really get a cast in. A 10-foot rod is better suited to where I fish, so that's why I go for a 10-foot rod. I basically want an all-rounder rod, so that's why I go for a 3.5 pound test curve, because I want to be able to chuck big baits out. I want to chuck at a distance and stuff like that. So to me, for an all-round rod, what I like is a 10-foot 3.5 pound test curve. When it comes to reels, you don't need to go expensive. This is a size 60 bait runner with 50 pound braid. One of the things that's important is being able to get good bite indication. So bank sticks or a rod pod, something that's going to hold the rod steady so you can actually get proper bite indication. At the front, you've got your bait alarms, so that's going to tell you if the line's going out. If the pike's taking the line out, that's going to alert you to that. You've also got backdrop indicators, which indicates if a pike picks your bait up and comes towards you. So having indication at either end is going to give you the best bite indication. Also, when it comes to bite indication, to get the best bite indication, you need the correct size of weight. So if you're going to be casting or fishing at a distance, you're going to need a heavier weight. Today I'm only fishing 20-30 yards out, so I've got a 4 ounce weight on. If I was going further than that, I would use like a 6 or sometimes even an 8 ounce if I'm going a good distance out. The further the distance you go out, you need the line to be tight, and to be able to get better bite indication, you need a heavier weight, in my opinion. I say it's just my opinion. But this setup here, bait alarm at front with a backdrop indicator at the back, it's going to give you the best indication. Just tying up the line. One other thing when it comes to your line. I like to use 50 pound braid when I'm dead baiting and 40 pound braid when I'm lure fishing. That's just a personal preference. With the braid, what I always do is I tie a clip onto it. The reason for it being is for a number of different reasons. The main reason I use a clip is you want to try and maximise the amount of time your bait's out in the water and minimise the amount of time it's out. So instead of bringing your bait in and you're going to change over and then change over there, what I do is I get a separate wire trace, I set up my bait onto that, I bring in my old bait, unclip it, clip on a new one and cast it straight back out. Doing it that way maximises the amount of time your bait's out in the water and minimises the amount of time it's out. The good thing about having a clip on as well, it's a safety thing as well, I think. When you're bringing the pike in, and as soon as I'm about to net a pike, I'll have a quick look at the pike and quickly judge the situation. If I can see the hooks outside, or one of the hooks is outside the pike's mouth, and it's a small pike and it's a safe situation to do it, I might chin the pike and unhook it in the water. If I'm about to net a fish and I see both hooks is in the fish's mouth and I know it's safe, I'll net the fish, and the first thing I do is unclip the wire trace. That means I can get rid of the rod, I can get rid of the braid, and the main reason for that being is pike have got a habit when they're in the net, they roll, and if they roll sometimes the braid will wrap around them and that can cut a fish. So that's another reason why I like using a clip. It means you can unclip the wire trace, gets rid of the braid, gets rid of the rod, and it means that the pike's not going to get caught up on the braid. When it comes to the weights, as I was mentioning, you do need a different size weight for the distance you're going to be fishing, just to get a better bite indication. One of the things you need to do with the weights as well is make sure it's through line in some way. There's different ways you can set it up and you can do it, but you need to make sure the weight's through line. The reason for that being is if you get snapped off, it means the weight comes off free and the fish isn't swimming about, dragging a weight about, which is eventually going to kill the fish. So it's important when you're using the weights for bite indication, make sure that you do it through line as well. As you can see, it's going in shallow. There's a school of fish right here in low depth, so at least I know where the bait fish is. So second cast with a deeper, it's 4.3 metres is what I've cast out to. Temperature still 9.4 Celsius, so it's not too cold. I'm just going to bring it in slow, so I can see it's quite a flat bed at the bottom, just a wee slight bit of weed. Let's see where any fish comes up, or any features. So now that we're into November, it's cold, so one of the advice I would give somebody that's new to fishing, if you've never done fishing before, when it comes to winter you don't get a lot of daylight hours, so you are probably best doing a few overnight trips, like what I'm doing when it comes to pike fishing. Doing that you need to be a wee bit prepared for it, so you need to get a good shelter. Tents are okay, but I personally prefer using a bivvy. But I do have a pop-up tent that I put all my gear in there. So other things that I would recommend having is something to get you off the ground so you're not in the cold ground. So I've got a wee camp bed thing that I use for that. Good sleeping bag, make sure you've got a heater. If you're using like a gas cooker or a gas heater, make sure you get plenty of ventilation, because there's people out there that's died from the fumes, so you need to be really careful with that. But as long as you've got something there to keep you warm, like a wee heater, good sleeping bag, a bed to keep you off the ground, and a good shelter, plenty of warm food and plenty of warm drinks like tea, coffee, or even a wee cup of soup, these things are going to help. But no, if you're going to be fishing in the winter, you just need to make sure that you've got stuff there to keep you warm, because there's nothing worse than fishing when you're wet and you're miserable, you don't last. So this time of year you need to be prepared to be able to fish in the cold conditions, and if you do that then you stand a good chance of actually doing the overnight trips and you actually enjoy it a bit more, get a wee bit of home comforts as well. So bait I'm going to use today, I'm going to use half a trout on one rod, on the other rod I'm going to use a full trout, and on a third rod I'm going to use a bit of mackerel. Nathan gave me these 3 trout, so it's very much appreciated, so I'm going to use that as bait today, and then use one with the mackerel, so see how that gets on today. If I don't have any bites or any indication with these baits, I'll switch them later on tonight. just about to send out this full trout. I've injected it with the oils, I put a wee bit of ground bait in with oils in it, and I'm just about to send it out. But as you can see, the trout's massive compared to the bait boat, so hopefully I can send it out. So second rod is going to just be a trout section, bit of ground bait and some bait oil, and I'm going to put this out a wee bit further out than the last one. So anybody that knows me knows that I like gadgets when it comes to fishing. One of the things I like using is my underwater camera. Not only is it good letting you see the fish take the bait or take the lure, sometimes you go fishing and you'll blank and you think, oh, I've had a rubbish day, and then you go home and you look at the footage and you realise you've had a pike fall on the lure or you've seen other fish. So it gives you a wee motivation, it gives you a wee bit of buzz about going back there and trying again. So that's why I like the underwater camera. Also it's good because it lets you see a different aspect to fishing that you never would see unless you're diving or something like that. But I love the underwater camera. Other things I like using is the drone. It gives you an aerial view. Some of the times you go fishing you can't really see how deep certain bits are, it might look shallow. I can send the drone out and sometimes if it's sunny enough or if the water's not too deep you can actually see the depths, you can see the weeds, you can see the fish. So from that aspect, which I did in the carp video, you can actually see the carp at the surface in that video, so that's why I like using the drone. Plus I'm fat and I'm lazy, I can't bother walking for miles, so I just send the drone down, have a wee look, see if there's anybody about, see any features and stuff like that. So I like the aspect of the drone with that. Other aspects as well is I like using my bait boat. The reason I use the bait boat, some people say, oh, it's cheating or and stuff like that, but I like it because you can get your bait to exactly where you want to fish. You can also top up with ground bait as I've done today. Oops, I think I might be getting a wee run there. I think something's just playing with it, moving it, but I don't think actually there's something on it. So as I was saying, one of the main reasons I like using the bait boat is I can get accuracy, I can get the bait exactly where I want. I know some people say, oh, that's cheating because you're not casting out, but it can save you from a blank. If I can get the bait to a certain part in the water where I know the fish are holding, that means I can actually stand a chance of actually catching. So I use the bait boat, top up with a bit of ground bait, and this means I can actually get more setting in the water by putting a bit of ground bait in as well. So it's got different benefits to it as well. The other thing I like using is the deeper, which is just a fish finder, but I don't actually use it to actually find the fish in one way. I know it might sound a bit double Dutch or like I'm contradicting myself. The reason I actually use this is to look at the temperature of the water and look for features. Pike are an ambush and predator fish, so they're going to be in grass, they're going to be in weed beds, they're going to be hiding. Oops, got a wee beep again. As I was saying, the reason I like using the deeper, it lets you see the features. Pike are an ambush and predator fish. They hide in weed beds, under lily pads, they hide in like grassy surfaces under the water. Anywhere that they can camouflage themselves in and ambush a fish, that's where they're going to be. So I like using the deeper so I can actually look more for features, but most importantly to look at the temperature of the water, because pike are a sensitive fish to temperature, and especially if I'm going to be fishing in the summer months, I still like using the deeper in certain locations even when I'm going fishing, just to check the temperature. So to me, having the deeper with the bait boat, using underwater cameras and using the drone, it's gadgets and stuff like that, and it's not stuff you necessarily need, but it's just my personal preference, that's what I like using, and I think it actually has a benefit to it as well. When it comes to pike fishing, you need a good net. So this one here I've got, it's a 42 inch, it's rubber mesh, it's got a wide gape on it, so that means when you get the pike in the net, as you can see it's quite large, so it means you can keep the pike in the net and let it recover. Other good feature to it being the wide gape on it, it means you're not going to get the hook caught in it as easy. Sometimes pike, when you net them, they like to roll about, and if they roll about and they get a hook caught in the net, it can do a lot of damage. So being the wide gape, it helps trying to prevent that doesn't happen as easy. The other good thing about being a rubber mesh is pike have got a protective slime on them, so it helps keep that on. As you can see here, I always got a bucket of water, or a wee tub of water that I can pour on my hooking mat, and that helps keep it wet, and it helps keep the slime on the fish as well. As for my unhooking mat, as you can see, it's a large unhooking mat, but just to add a bit of extra cushion, I've got a second unhooking mat underneath. That's purely just to add a bit of cushion there. Also, it means if you get a large pike, it's quite long, it means I can move the one underneath out, giving it more room. Also, it means if a pike is difficult to unhook, it means you can have somebody else there to help you and you've got extra room with more mats. I always use this sheet here because, as you can see, it's very visible. It means I can lay out my tools that I need for the pike, and it makes it easier to actually see. Because if I'm busy dealing with a pike, trying to hook it, and you're looking for the stuff you need and it's lying on the ground, as you can see here, it's hard to see. Whereas on the sheet, it makes it 10 times easier to see. Also, this material is waterproof, so it means if it's raining, you can fold it over, keep them dry. I've also got my digital scales here, but I forgot the part that I needed to attach to the net so I could weigh it in the net. So what I've done was I've improvised and I've attached this manual scale to it, and then that means I can actually get a weight of the fish in a digital reading and also in a manual reading as well. Now, the different tools I've got here as well, as you can see, I've got 3 different types of forceps. I've also got something to cut a hook if I need to cut a hook. I've got braided scissors here. Over here, I do the same when it comes to the bait side of things. So I've got 2 different types of knife to cut the baits. I've got 3 different types of oils for scent, bait elastic, scissors. I've got my wee kit here for injecting the bait oil, which I'm going to do soon. And I've also made up a wee bit of ground bait there, which I'll talk about that more in detail later on. Try and let you see how the jig fly works. First cast right in the fish. So, first cast on the jig fly for this wee pike. Can't beat it. Hopefully. I'm getting a big school of perch and roach fall on it. So, if the jig flies bring them in, hopefully it's not long before it starts bringing some pike in. Oh, I just missed it. You see that? I just missed that pike, I belted it. So the pike I just lost, I can see it, just the trees, it's just ever so slightly just touching the water. I can see it from here, it's just sitting there, it's a wee tiny jack. Probably the best part of, I'd say £2 at the most. But the angle I've got to try and get the lure in there, or the jig fly I should say, to get it in there to try and get the pike out, it's going to be hard without snagging. It might help if I take the bail arm off. So, too far away. See, this is the problem, I've got the adrenaline going now after that, and try to get a cast. Hopefully I don't That's a bit better. Hopefully it sees it and comes out again. Oh, got it! Oh, I'm glad the plan comes together. Nice jack pike. So I'm glad that I seen it under the tree and it worked and I was able to catch it. I'm absolutely over the moon. I'm not missing a third time.
I've seen a lot of change, been through a lot of pain. Some things are not the same as they were a year ago, but all will be okay. I move on each and every day. The past is where it stays, way back a year ago. I've changed for the better this time. I thought I would never be fine. I strive just to say I'm alright, and for the first time in a long time I'm alright. I've seen a lot of change, been through a lot of pain. Some things are not the same as they were a year ago, but all will be okay. I move on each and every day. The past is where it stays, way back a year ago. I'm not falling, I'll push all my chips and call all in. I'll bet on myself, you keep stalling. I hear destiny and it's calling. I'll keep my head up high through the downs and lows, and we're all going life. Still nobody knows, but I'ma choose what's right and take what comes and goes. And ain't no one in life holding me back no more. I've seen a lot of change, been through a lot of pain. Some things are not the same as they were a year ago, but all will be okay. I move on each and every day. The past is where it stays, way back a year ago.